Namaskari Hyderabad, I'm Akanksha Swaroop joining you live and rolling from Election Highway. And as you can see, I am in Hyderabad, the city of pearls, to get you a political pulse of what Telangana wants. And that is why I am today at the NTR Stadium. Of course, the temperatures in Telangana are scorching. In fact, let's also talk about Hyderabad. It has recorded one of its hottest days in the past decade. What's causing the temperatures to rise? Is it just global warming or also the Lok Sabha election of 2024? Well, we'll be delving deeper into that with our guests. I'm joined in by a very esteemed panelist who I'll be introducing in just a bit. Here's in fact a glimpse of what we found in Telangana so far. It's basically heavy on the milk. बिरयानी नहीं खाई तो क्या खाया if I am in Hyderabad. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we are right now currently stationed in Hyderabad's NTR Stadium. Joining me is Mr. Suresh Kochatil, who is a political analyst. Many thanks to you, sir. Mr. Guruvar Reddy, who's a spokesperson for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mr. Ram Mohan Reddy, who's a spokesperson for the Congress Party, also joined in by the very graceful Rekha Rao, who's a BRS supporter. Alright, Rekha ji, I'd like to begin with you. What is causing the temperatures in Hyderabad to rise? Is it just the heat wave or also the politics?
It is the political scenario which is adding the waves, and it is very normal, very natural, not only in Hyderabad, not only in Telangana, everywhere. And coming to Hyderabad, yes, there are a lot of speculations going on. People are talking. And now, what is your question? You tell me directly.
All right. Everybody is wondering about BRS. How is this now going to survive is the big question. But is it in fact not just a question about survival? Do you think BRS still has it in it to dent the prospects of a BJP or a Congress?
I think the word survive is not correct over here. Sometimes there is change. Yes, BRS has lost, and the loss was quite minor. But again, at the same time, the present government, what it is doing, there are few flaws. Initially, when it took over, yes, we were really happy. Everything was going very fine. Like for our public commission, the chairman was Mahendra Reddy sir, the IPS and all. Then again, they were talking about VCs. Everything was going fine. But I feel the speed has come down. And the beautiful promises they made, I think it is going a little slow and it has to pick up speed.
All right, we'll in fact delve deeper into the political fate of BRS, but we have more important factors. Let's also get in a sense of what the Janta Janardhan is like over here. I'm joined in by some people from the state as well. क्या feedback मिल रहा है रेवंत रेड्डी को? कितना स्कोर कार्ड में देंगे भाई? कुछ महीने हो गए रेवंत रेड्डी को आए हुए, कैसा लग रहा है?
अच्छा है, सब जो भी गारंटी है ना सब अच्छा है, सब जनता को अच्छा लग रहा है. जो भी फ्री करंट है 200 यूनिट्स का और फ्री बस सर्विस है वो भी अच्छा है. 500 को सिलेंडर है, सब अच्छा है.
All right, Mr. Reddy, you heard that. 500 का सिलेंडर है, गारंटीज काम कर रही हैं. It is clearly Congress guarantees versus Modi की guarantee. What is Modi bringing to the table?
I haven't seen any guarantees being implemented by Congress government yet. I don't know in the near future with the budget constraint and the 9 lakh crore loans that the state is already bearing because of the last government's lapses. I don't see any near possibility of execution of those 6 guarantees given by Congress government in the state. But versus the Modi's guarantee, the performance is already there for the last 10 years. The economic progress, the progressional growth that have been and we've seen, and the state country's economic growth of it's gradually increasing. The GDP rate is going by 7.2%. It's now coming up to 7.9%. Now we are in the way for next 25 years of progress.
All right, we'll see how that progress actually translates in terms of the votes and also the victory margin which is being targeted by the Bharatiya Janata Party. आपके welcome के लिए यहाँ bombs भी explode हो रहे हैं. Mr. Reddy, the big question being posed to the Congress, especially the CM in Telangana, is will he be able to translate that assembly victory into the Lok Sabha election of 2024?
100%. 100% we are confident enough that all these guarantees what we are fulfilling within the promised time, that is like 100 days.
What have
And
you
people are saying
started fulfilling? Because
we
so
have started
far
out of 6
it's still
guarantees.
nascent.
No, yeah, yet to be done, but all our contribution to the welfare is being like huge, because we have started Arogyasri, we have enhanced from 5 lakh to 10 lakh, and we have started free transport for women. We have started 200 units of free electricity. We have started 500 rupees per cylinder, and we have also started, which was not even addressed in the entire 10 years of with both BJP and BRS, that is giving Gulf employees who are working in Gulf countries. We are also paying like 5 lakh rupees of compensation to the bereaved families.
All right, केसीआर की गवर्नमेंट में और रेवंत रेड्डी की गवर्नमेंट में कोई फर्क दिख रहा है?
कुछ भी फर्क नहीं है मैडम, वो कितना है इन्हों भी उतने ही है। अभी तक उन्हों जो बोल रहे हैं रेवंत रेड्डी, गरीबों में कुछ भी नहीं आया है। वो गद्दी पे बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं, वो स्लम में आके बात करो बोलो। अभी तक महिलाओं को 2,500 रुपये नहीं आया, फ्री गैस नहीं आया, कुछ लोगों को करंट मुफ्त किया है, लेकिन अभी तक कोई सुविधा नहीं दिए। अभी ये पार्लियामेंट इलेक्शन के बाद में उनको मालूम हो जाएगा नरेंद्र मोदी का क्या है, वो कैसा बात करते, वो कैसा काम करते, उनको अभी मालूम हो जाएगा पार्लियामेंट इलेक्शन में। वो खाली स्पीच दे रहे हैं, हम गरीबों को ये कर रहे हैं। अभी तक गैस फ्री नहीं हुआ है, ये 100% है, अभी तक गैस फ्री नहीं हुआ है। अभी क्या बोल रहे हो? 15 अगस्त के दिन हम अनाउंसमेंट करेंगे कि एक जो किसानों के 2 लाख रुपए है वो माफ़ कर देंगे। अभी सब अमल करेंगे। और एक नया विचार कर रहे हो पब्लिक को गुमराह करने के लिए। क्यों गुमराह कर रहे? अभी पार्लियामेंट इलेक्शन में उनके 19 सीट्स अगर आ गए तो जो वो वादा किया है वो तो वादा सब निभाएंगे, लेकिन जब मुख्यमंत्री के इलेक्शन में उन्होंने वादा जो किया है हर गरीब को, हर महिला को सुकन्या कन्या के इसमें 2,500 रुपये दिया जाएगा, हर गरीब को 500 को गैस दिया जाएगा, हर गरीब के लिए बस फ्री। ठीक है, बस फ्री कर दिया, वो बस फ्री करके ऑटो वालों को रोड पे ला लिया।
All right. Ram, the sense I'm also getting is that there's no way to testify if the promises on paper are sort of, in fact, materializing on ground level, as is also a claim by me being made by this gentleman. Not to forget the farm loan waiver, that is becoming a crucial bone of contention for Revanth Reddy.
Yes, we have promised that farm loan waiver will be done before August 15th, and people are believing that. When BJP starting questioning Congress party, where we have come in ruling, it's not been like 120 days fully. BJP was agitating against the cylinder prices when it was around 410 rupees. They were agitating, came out on roads, putting garlands to the cylinder, and they were in fact questioning the Congress party then in 2013-14, saying that 410 rupees is huge. How can a common man can bear? But what about the enhancement of prices of cylinders when it has come to 1,200 rupees? What about your guarantees first? In this decade time of your administration, you have promised n number of things.
Mr. Reddy, I need you to come in on this aspect.
See, I would rather like to debate and discuss on the progress and the development the country is making under Modi's regime. Freebies, promises of freebies, fly-by-night schemes, these statements which are not possible to implement, that nobody is going to believe. It's common sense factor that, you're debating about the price of the cylinder.
Right. I mean, I agree that there's always a distinction when it comes to an assembly victory versus a Lok Sabha victory, but you cannot rule out the fact that state level issues also sort of translate into that vote share.
You check out, there are a number of guys standing around here. Who will they vote for? They'll say Modi, only Modi. Nobody will say Rahul Gandhi here. Basically, that is the mania, the phenomena that is going around in Telangana at the moment. We're going to catch up with 14 to 15 MP seats winning here.
Suresh, let me bring you in on this. Do you even see this as a tri-cornered fight between the Congress, the BJP and the BRS? Or is this now turning out to be a direct contest between the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Congress?
Yeah, you can look at that. If you look at the candidates of Congress right now, most of them are from BRS. And actually they were with Congress earlier. You take Ranjit Reddy from Chevella. You take many other constituents who are there, Khammam you can take. Or go into any of the other constituencies, they are all imports from BRS. That is natural because KCR did the same thing when he was ruling. But the point here is very simple, is that BRS will be like what JDS is in Karnataka today. They will be a third player, very minor player in the years to come, because one, Revant Reddy, as I was saying, has taken a supari to ensure that the BRS is finished off here. And BJP should send him a bouquet of roses every day, because that he's doing that job very well. Mainly because one accusation against Revant Reddy is that he is a RSS man, he is an ABVP guy, which is true. He doesn't deny it. I mean, even today he has not denied it.
BRS politicians are also making those charges
Yeah,
that
they will make it.
there's an unthinkable alliance
No,
between
no,
Congress and
yeah.
BJP.
No, it's not an alliance. See, what is going to happen here is a game of one-upmanship. If you look at the last assembly election that happened, and what happened now, there is a very clear distinction. Last assembly election, there's one seat that BJP won from Goshamel Raja Singh. They had lost deposits on almost 100 seats. Now what happened this time? When it came to the 2019 Lok Sabha election, immediately within 6 months of it, BJP won 4 seats, 4 Lok Sabha seats, Nizamabad, Adilabad, Karimnagar and Sikandrabad. Multiply 6 assembly segments into 4 Lok Sabha, that's 24 assembly segments, they got a majority. This time they won 8 seats, which is again, because I look at it from a statistical perspective. If you look at the vote share that Congress got in assembly elections and then you compare that with the last Lok Sabha election, very clearly BJP can pick up, I think, in my hunch, about 6 to 8 seats. The additional seats being, one is Chevella, where they are very strong right now because of Konda Vishweshwar Reddy.
Right.
And okay, there is another seat which they can pick up, which is Zahirabad, where there's a strong Lingayat community from Karnataka who are settled there. These 2 seats are very crucial swings for BJP. Of course, the
Alright.
bonus would be Mahbub Nagar.
All right, let me bring you in, Mr. Reddy. Now, of course, everybody is talking about quota. After Prime Minister Modi attacked the Congress manifesto with regards to it, we've seen, in fact, how this has played out in Telangana. We've seen how it's played out in Andhra Pradesh. Do you think this is now going to actually bleed the Congress out?
I think so. Basically, it's all about confidence in the rulers. Voters are going to think, voters have become wiser nowadays. If you try to manipulate a fact and then try to project it as something else which is actually going against the benefits of the people, then people won't appreciate it. They'll definitely verify it. A leader like Modi, if he's doing all good things and benefits for the poor, helping the downtrodden to come up and in helping the more than 25 crore people to come beyond the poverty line, how we can talk about reservations, quotas to be eliminated or processed, So
Even Owaisi's statement comes to mind that Prime Minister is lying. He should in fact ask his alliance partner Chandrababu Naidu if he's going to do away with the reservation in his own state. He's quoted Andhra Pradesh only in his defense.
See, dog should not bark in front of an elephant. It's like that. If Owaisi talking about reservations, he himself has to check his facts right.
Fair enough.
What great help and does it done for his own people in Hyderabad old city? For the 25 years he's in tenure as an MP, nothing, no development at all. Now Madhulata is asking that question every day. There's no answer coming up from MIM quarters. There is no right always talking about development politics or reservation politics. It's all only caste based or religion based voting. That is appeasement politics is depending on that. He himself is focused on becoming rich. He's never wanted the poor men to come up, grow rich in their life.
Ram, how do you see the whole quota politics working out now for the Congress party? Is this in fact going to give you any kind of edge? Because Rohit Vemula's case in fact comes to mind. It seems to be backfiring because of the flip-flop that we've seen come in from the Congress party when they in fact decided to reinvestigate the entire matter.
It's not backfiring, but the report is being made by the erstwhile government, that is BRS, and recently DGP also addressed a letter to the public saying that we are going to reopen the matter.
But the decision to reinvestigate could have been taken earlier before the matter was being put to a close.
Because it wasn't there. It wasn't there in the limelight and it was submitted before the Honorable Court. And today government has taken the decision because the mother of the Rohit Vemula has approached Honorable CM and requested.
Don't you think it's rather ironical that you're saying that, considering the Congress manifesto mentions the enactment of a Rohit Vemula Act?
We are stick to it. We are stick to it, and let us not forget the history that Rahul Gandhi is the one leader who attended the HSCU in support of Rohit Vemula. It wasn't any
Comes
BJP
across as
leader.
lip service.
No, that is not at all a lip service. If he can also see his character of approaching the victims anywhere happening in, call it like Hathras or call it like any incidents happening across the country, it was only Rahul Gandhi. But when it comes to the allegations against the BJP leaders, just like Revana in Karnataka, where BJP always stands strong in protecting the culprits. Though they may be belonging from financial aspects, or it may be from crime, or whatever it may be.
But one has been
outstanding-
arrested. The father's been arrested. So
But
let's
Ujjwal
not.
is not.
I'm
Ujjwal
sure
is
they.
not
That's why
the
they
main
are
one.
contemplating on
But you
issuing
know,
a blue
we-
collar
But
notice.
it was in the knowledge of Honorable Prime Minister, who also addressed the rally supporting him. But this is a serious thing. When you know the fact that he is indulged in some offense, then how can you just go and support him and do a rally in to support and
Alright.
ask
We'll
votes?
continue with the discussion. For now, in fact, it's time to give you a glimpse of what I explored as far as old Hyderabad is concerned. We went all the way to Charminar, which of course literally translates to 4 minarets, a monument and a mosque which was in fact constructed by one of the Shahi rulers of the Qutub dynasty back in the year 1590. Let's give you a glimpse of what Charminar is like before we quickly go back to our guests. Behind me is Hyderabad's iconic Charminar, a monument and a mosque. It was built in 1590 by one of the Qutub dynasty rulers, and now it stands as a symbol of Hyderabad's rich cultural heritage. As you can see, surrounded by a bustling crowd. You also have sellers of clothes, jewelry, various souvenirs, not to forget some delectable Hyderabadi dishes as well. Come, join me as I discuss politics over food at Hyderabad's Charminar. बीजेपी, कांग्रेस, बीआरएस क्या किस दिशा में दिख रही है हवा बहती हुई?
हमारा वोट तो हम आपको बता नहीं सकते थे, मगर आपको पूछ लिया तो बता ही देंगे। हमारे लिए पतंग है एमआईएम असदुद्दीन ओवैसी, जो कि हैदराबाद के पार्लियामेंट से 4 से 5 दफा जीत के आए हैं। अभी भी इनके लिए हमारा वोट एमआईएम के लिए रहेगा।
माधवी लता कहती है कि अगर जो है ओवैसी के लिए वोट गया तो 40 साल तक तो ओवैसी परिवार चलता ही आया है, अगले 40 साल भी कोई डेवलपमेंट नहीं होगा।
डेवलपमेंट की बात अगर करें ना मैडम, तो माधवी लता को पहले ये पूछिए आप हैदराबाद में आए कब से?
एएमआईएम का जो रोल है ना, हैदराबाद सेंट्रल सिटी के अंदर, ओल्ड सिटी के अंदर एमआईएम को छोड़कर कोई पार्टी का रोल नहीं निभा सकता। कोई पार्टी इधर मेजोरिटी में नहीं आ सकता, तो इधर के लिए एमआईएम बेस्ट है। और हैदराबाद ही नहीं, पूरा तेलंगाना के अंदर कांग्रेस की भारी बहुमत इस बार आपको देखने को मिलेगा।
क्या फैक्टर्स हैं जो आपका वोट डिसाइड करेंगे? मैं नहीं पूछूंगी कि किसके लिए करेंगे, पर क्या फैक्टर्स हैं वो जो डिसाइड करेंगे?
जो भी है कांग्रेस के लिए,
कांग्रेस के लिए, ओवैसी के लिए नहीं।
वैसे कांग्रेस के लिए।
First stop is the Nimra Cafe at Charminar, and over here I have come with my Hyderabad correspondent Swastika Das, who will in fact be doing some chai pe charcha with me. And right now we are in fact treating ourselves to what we call the Irani chai. Absolutely, I've heard a lot about it from Swastika itself. Let me actually sip on it. It's really sweet.
It's basically heavy on the milk part and the malai part, and is quintessentially Hyderabad. Which is another thing which is quintessentially Hyderabad is your bun maska. So if you come to Nimra, this will be there on everybody's plate. And welcome to Hyderabad. This is your first.
Thank you, Swastika.
Hope the city is treating you well, that the temperature is very bad.
Absolutely, and yet that has not sort of dampened the spirits of even the locals in Hyderabad or the tourists who have thronged this entire place in full force, as you can see. And along with the temperatures in the city, the political temperatures are also rising, for which in fact Swastika will be giving her precious insights to us. Swastika, what are the factors governing the Lok Sabha election? Telangana is extremely unique considering the assembly elections have just taken place. The sense I'm getting from the people is that they seem to be pretty much contented with Revanth Reddy.
Looks like that because see, in the last.
Fairly early to comment.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big challenge for Mr. Revanth Reddy to translate the win that he had in the assembly elections into Lok Sabha win as well. So a lot of pressure on that front. Chief Minister of the state says he's going to bring 14 of the total 17 seats. But for the Congress, it's going to be a neck-and-neck fight in several of these constituencies with the BJP and as well as the BRS. So you have a resurgent K. Chandrasekhar Rao, the former Chief Minister, now conducting bus yatras and everything. So there is going to be a neck-and-neck fight. But the Congress here, on the backdrop of its win in Telangana assembly elections, was hopeful of winning at least 14 seats. Whether that happens, then it's going to be a big mandate for the Congress and the INDIA.
And you know what actually comes to mind is, can the BJP fill the BRS void? Because remember, in the 2019 Lok Sabha election, out of the 17 seats in Telangana, majority had gone to BRS. And then the BJP, and lesser than that was Congress and of course AIMIM with only one seat. How do you sense BJP's standing at the moment? There's a lot of talk about how it, with many of the BRS leaders themselves, in fact, joining the Bharatiya Janata Party. Is BJP right now facing a problem of plenty, considering they also have to pacify those Congress and BRS leaders who are joining the party?
So look, as far as the BJP is concerned, let's go back to 2019. In 2019 Lok Sabha, they stunned everyone by winning 4 seats. And for a party which has had zero deposit or negative deposit in the assembly elections, for them to sort of dealt out that blow was a big headline in 2019. Cut to the present situation, 2020 was when BJP started aggressively pushing its Mission Telangana. And now the party is really gearing up to make double-digit foray. So for the BJP, they have not only reposed their faith in leaders in the likes of Arvind Dharmapuri, G. Kishan Reddy, who's contesting from Secunderabad, Bandi Sanjay, of course. The party is also expecting that with these new entrants who've been given tickets, they want to make inroads aggressively. And of course, let's not forget, the elections in Telangana have happened and given out one big message that the BJP stands to expand at BRS's cost. So if that happens, that's going to be a big thing to watch out for. But the story is completely different when you are in Hyderabad constituency.
Absolutely. And in fact, the Hyderabad constituency is something I am going to talk about over a quintessential Hyderabadi dish, and that is the biryani. So stay tuned for that. So hope you enjoyed that report from Charminar. Well, Charminar also happens to be a politically very charged constituency as far as Hyderabad is concerned. On that note, in fact, Suresh will be giving us some inputs, because Suresh, in fact, that one thing that caught my attention was how there's also communal harmony, the way the Hindus and Muslims are coexisting. Right next to Charminar was the Bhagya Lakshmi Devi's temple, which of course has also become a sort of battle pitch for the Bharatiya Janata Party, because let's not forget, BJP is also alluded to changing the name of Hyderabad back to Bhagyanagar. Give us a sense of what do you learn about the Muslim community from all parts of the city. Are they happy being there, or do you see a more progressive aspiration? Has the AIMIM's dominance in Hyderabad been able to ignite that aspiration in the Muslim of Hyderabad?
Well, I came to Hyderabad at the age of 3, along with my dad, who was a railway engineer, my dad and mom. I've seen the city grow from what it was. But Hyderabad always had that communal harmony, yes, but there was also communal violence, especially after the Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations. There used to be massive communal violence. It was N.T. Ramarao who gave a clean hand to the police at that time to crush it, and now it's relatively peaceful. But remember, BJP used to win from Old City constituency, not just Gosha Mahal. There was a constituency from where Karwan in the Old City, it doesn't exist any longer. But from where Badam Balreddy had won twice, actually twice or thrice, I don't recollect exactly. But that shows that BJP did have its kind of roots in Old City. Yes, there's been a lot of Hindu migration out of the Old City towards, not just Hindu migration, the educated Muslim. Because of the lack of facilities in the Old City, you don't have a metro, now it's coming up. You don't have proper sanitation facilities there, the roads are very narrow, the traffic is chaotic, you've been there, you know how it is. So the educated Muslim, what happens, many of my friends who got educated from the Muslim community, from the Old City, have moved on to the high-tech city side. That's very obvious. One, it's for their own work, because they need to commute to the work, they can't commute from that place where they are. So this is how the things are moving for those. But I think the educated Muslim naturally feels more liberated, and they start thinking differently. And I think that is one thing that is scaring overseas, because, I mean, right from his father, if you see, I mean, and the family before that, they've been existing primarily on the fear of the Muslims, saying that RSS will dominate, and that's what is.
That's exactly why I want to bring in Mr. Reddy. Mr. Reddy, while Madhvi Lata was campaigning, she's in fact gone on record to say that she's accused Owaisi of only working for one community. Muslims, on the other hand, say that what is the guarantee that if a BJP comes to power, the Muslim interest will be taken care of or not? I know that Madhvi Lata has done a lot of work, particularly for the Pasmanda Muslim community. How do you respond to allegations of Owaisi that no, they will not be taking care of the Muslim interest?
See, we have seen past history of the last 10 years of Narendra Modi's government. We've been taking a slogan there, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and we've been implementing it. Now, if OIC claims that Modi is not going to implement that, there's an example of last 10 years of progress and development, and in the example of the response from Muslim women, the relief from the triple talaq issue, and Article 370.
Right.
You have seen the progress of growth in Jammu and Kashmir after the removal of Article 370, and though you know that many parts of the country, the same harmony that is prevailing across the country, where you see all the Muslims and Hindus are living together and happily. We don't see any issue here, except when it comes to the election and the communal issue that needs to be raised, where people like OIC want to protect their personal interest. They raise such kind of slogans and
Ram,
create.
how do you react to the way I've in fact particularly what caught my interest was how Muslim women are conducting themselves in Hyderabad. None of them were willing to come on air and talk. They were looking at their husbands before speaking. An educated barrister like Owaisi has not really been able to manage much as far as women's liberation, empowerment, education, bringing them forward.
See, there are several women from Old City who are addressing on social issues as well, and who are also fighting in Supreme Courts. It is not something like every
You're talking
woman,
about a very bourgeois section of Muslim women, right?
I'm not. See, it is not like a generalized statement. I just wanted to say that not entire Muslims are something like sitting at homes and relying on their husbands.
No, I'm talking about what I have observed, particularly in Hyderabad.
That when it also comes to triple talaq or addressing on the local issues or their grievances, when we just go to the local municipalities, you can take to a camera and go. We can see more Muslim women there who are addressing on the issues, who are also reaching out to the local corporate offices or MLA offices. So let us not blemish the image of Muslim women in Hyderabad. But I wanted to say that OIC, it's been a long time, but there are so many changes which should be brought, but which is not happening.
All right, I've kept Rekha ji waiting for too long. Rekha ji, quickly, before I in fact toss to a break, tell us, what is the confidence like within BRS? We've seen many from the party, in fact, switch over. They've been given turncoat labels. They've made switches to Congress. They've made switches to the Bharatiya Janata Party, and that is also helping them to gain a stronghold in Telangana, more than just a foot in the door. Yes. Also, how do you analyze this with an election performance of the BRS cut to 2019 when the maximum was BRS garnering?
It was 9 in 2019, and yes, jumping jacks are there, and it is always there, and that is politics. And talking about the confidence of the people, like whichever government is there right now, people aren't much happy, to be very frank. The different strata of the economy, they have different expectations from different government. When we talk about educated people, for them, they are settled. They have a big car, they have a house, everything. For them, the expectation will be something else. And the people who are struggling for roti, kapda and makan, their expectation will be something else. And now the expectation of the people is not only roti, kapda and makan, but also vidya, vaidya, then again gas cylinder and all. And the current government, no doubt, it has promised a lot, but it isn't happening. The only thing what we can see very clearly is about the bus. Yes, it is a wonderful gesture. A free bus for the people, but again it had a little bit of imbalance, the auto guys committing suicide and all. That is one thing. And where has the different schemes like KCR kit was given to the pregnant ladies, and again the wedding complimentaries.
But interestingly, when you talk about all of that, I was talking to Konda Visheshwar Reddy just in the morning, where he, in fact, he's clearly attacked the BRS, saying that it was the BRS which was looting people, is the term
Sorry
he
for
used.
interrupting. He was the one who was with BRS. The biggest thing is that people, they go to BRS for 10 years, they had the fruit, they enjoyed. Whether there are many people, Kariyam Srihari, you take it, or Keshara, you take it. That is the dirtiest thing. And one thing which I always tell in my commentaries is that a politician is not a patriot.
Would you
And
say that for an Itala Rajendra also?
see, here the things are different because maybe Itila was out, and what exactly was the reason that we don't know. So let me complete. So people jumping from this party to that party is there and talking about Congress. They have promised so much, and the promises were wonderful, but they were not able to do
Okay,
it.
so if
And
you-
again,
if you-
then saying that the pocket or the treasury is zero, that we wouldn't agree. Before you speak something, the thing has to come out.
But Visheshwar Reddy says that I quit BRS when it was the ruling party. So what was my interest in quitting a ruling party when so many of them, in fact,
When you expect,
end up as turncoats
Yeah.
to join a ruling
when
party?
you expect things are not going well with you, then before you are fired, you resign or you leave. That's a small thing. And talking about BRS, 100% the people are repenting. If you, I also work in the slums and all, and there the people are repenting why it happened. For example, electricity, 3 to 4 hours it's going. Why? All these days it did not happen.
I hope we can address these issues on national TV. On that note, it's time for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. I am in the city of pearls, city of Nizams, and city of Hyderabad, where I will also give you a taste of Hyderabadi biryani. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to Election Highway. Mr. Konda Visheshwar Reddy is representing the Chevala constituency on behalf of BJP. Many thanks to you, Mr. Reddy, for joining us here on CNN News 18. Do you see Chevala as a direct contest between you and Ranjit Reddy of the Congress Party, or a tricornered contest between you, Ranjit Reddy, and of course Mr. Mudiraj of the BRS?
The other two candidates are very weak. The contest is against the two parties, TRS or BRS now, and Congress. In 7 of my assembly constituencies, in 3, number 2 is BRS, and in 4, number 2 is Congress. There's a big difference between number 1, which is BJP, and those two who are competing for number 2.
Mr. Ranjit Reddy, who's already from Chevala right now at the moment, he's already called victory a foregone conclusion. He said that we are bound to win, and in fact, he's very confident of a very heavy victory margin against you. How do you respond to that? Come forward.
He is free to say whatever he wants to say. His main confidence lies in the fact that he has come on TV and said, I have 4 lakh Muslim votes, and therefore I'll win. But he's forgetting he's a representative of Chevala Parliament, which consists of Muslims, Christians, and Hindus. I am banking on all of them. So his vote bank is 4 lakhs. My vote bank is 29 lakhs.
Why do you rule out the role of BRS, which, as we all know, has won Chevala constituency twice?
I do not rule out BRS at all. And in fact, they fielded a Mudiraj community, which is the largest of the BC communities. And Congress started calling him dummy candidate, which is humiliating that community leader. So I wouldn't rule out. In fact, in the last, they gained a little marginal vote share, but they're still a distant second or third.
At least that's more chivalrous of you, because Mr. Ranjit Reddy has ruled out the BRS as a contestant at all. Yeah. But having said that, what made you...
He jumped from the ruling party, BRS,
but
to the new ruling
you
party,
also
Congress.
left BRS
No, it's very,
and left the Congress for a brief stint. Why did you choose to join the Bharatiya Janata Party?
No, first of all, I left a ruling party while I was in, it was a ruling party, and while I was the MP there, because they went against Telangana. They started looting Telangana.
But that was BRS.
That was BRS. And then I joined Congress with the sole intention of defeating the party which was supposedly the savior of Telangana, started making Telangana bankrupt, the richest state. I joined Congress only to defeat or remove the KCR family rule and unshackle Telangana. But Congress party the entire party got sold out. Not only in my constituency during the elections, the MLAs, but also in the assembly, 2/3 of the Congress party sold themselves to BRS.
That's why I want to ask you, because political analysts, or critics rather, are attacking not just you, all three candidates from Chevella, saying that all three of them have switched parties. So they lack a political ideology, and they are in fact only prioritizing their own vested interests.
No, if that's the case, I wouldn't jump from a ruling party. Everybody jumps into the ruling party. I did the opposite. And secondly, how many parties have a political ideology? Telangana had a political goal of achieving Telangana. Fair enough. But what is TRS ideology? Nobody knows. Ask 5 people, they'll say different. Congress party, ask 5 senior Congress leaders. Do this as an experiment. What is your ideology, core ideology? 5 people will say 5 different things. And the honest guy will say, who cares about ideology? We have to win the elections. That's the honest congressman. Whereas in BJP, everybody knows it's Jatiyavadam, it's nationalism, it's India first, and that is termed as Hindutva.
They're saying that this is perhaps one of the most polarized Lok Sabha elections that Telangana is currently viewing, especially also with Madhvi Lata throwing her hat in the ring. That imaginary bow and arrow gesture, of course, has created headlines. At the same time, barbed wires by Asaduddin Owaisi when he's making jibes about beef, saying "Kaatte raho" and comments like those. How is this going to play out in Telangana?
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of polarization. And what's really sad is educated Muslim youth are being indoctrinated. Things like CAA. If CAA comes, you'll be thrown out. And educated Muslim youths are dead against BJP. The fact, and nobody knows the facts. It's, you say a lie 100 times, and that becomes the truth. First CAA was bought by Congress Party in July 19th, 1984. That was totally anti-Muslim, and not just anti-Muslim. It is anti-Indian Muslims. Manmohan Singh supported CAA, and to make matters, it's really funny. Karachi, a communist, he also supported CAA. Now just because we call spade a spade and we spelt out the word Muslims, they say we are anti-Muslims and anti-secular. So it's been highly polarized, and the reason for that is Congress Party. Look at the candidate here. I have 4 lakh Muslim votes, so I'll win. So these are polarizing tactics that are happening. And Madhavi Lata's arrow was in 4 different directions. And if you go to Old City, in any one direction, in any place in Old City, there'll be a big masjid with huge loudspeakers and this thing. And they morphed it and this thing.
All right. Now let's talk about quota politics, which has also, in fact, become a national issue, especially after Prime Minister exposed how the Congress government wanted to reduce OBC quota and add on to the Muslim quota. Owaisi, in fact, has gone ahead to accuse the Prime Minister of lying, say that even if it is class-based, empirical studies, in fact, indicate that Muslims are also extremely underprivileged, and that they deserve quota. What is your political pulse telling you? Where are the winds of change blowing as far as quota and the youth of Telangana is concerned?
Asaduddin is partly right. Muslims have been driven into poverty. Sachar Committee report during Manmohan Singh government clearly shows that. But who drove them into poverty? It was the years, decades and decades of Congress government. Secondly, about the reservations, it is Congress Party, and it's not just an allegation or statement by Prime Minister Ji. In Karnataka, they removed BC reservations, 4% BC reservations, and gave it to Muslims. We are against Muslim reservations. They are not even helping the Muslims because it's purely a religion-based religion-based reservations. Who will benefit? Who will benefit? The educated, the wealthy, the developed Muslims will benefit. It has to be based on class. That's why we are saying you cannot give a blanket.
He quotes Chandrababu Naidu also, and in fact he poses the question, he reverses the question, says that ask your own ally, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, if he will in fact remove or take away the quota from Muslims in Andhra.
Okay. You can ask that. Whoever does it, whether my friend does it, my foe does it, my rival does it, my alliance partner does it, wrong is wrong. If it is against Ambedkar, it is wrong. If it is against Constitution or Supreme Court or this thing, and clearly whether it's Ambedkar or Supreme Court, they are against.
So are you saying that the BJP is not against reservation for Muslims?
No,
but
we are dead against religion-based reservations and Muslim reservations. We are for SC, ST, BC reservations, and nobody can touch it. Also, look at the implication. So if I convert myself into a Muslim, my children will get Muslim reservation? What nonsense is this? So they are the guys who are highly communal, Congress. They want to give religion-based reservations, and they call us communal. They are the most communal in everything, whether it's CAA or Muslim reservations, or even on pilgrimages. They give Makkah pilgrimages based out of our tax money, our endowment money. They give Jerusalem foreign pilgrimage money. But to Hindus, they won't give us, poor Hindus, free tour to or pilgrimage to either Tirupati or Ayodhya. So they are communal party. They used and abused Muslims as their vote bank. They see Muslims as vote bank. We don't.
All right. Let's now end on a note of wealth distribution. Considering you have declared your assets over 4,500 crore worth rupees. In fact, you basically have now emerged as the richest Lok Sabha candidate in the race. On that note, how do you assess allegations coming in from the opposition, primarily the Congress party, which in its manifesto has stated that we will redistribute wealth when we come to power? A, B, the BJP is a party which in fact is supporting only the rich and in fact supports people with concentration of wealth only in the hands of few.
Firstly, clarification. The wealthiest declared, I'm not talking about undeclared, the undeclared wealth of many politicians who can buy 10 or 20 Vishweshwar. So we're talking about declared wealth. And secondly, it's not Congress or anyone talking, it's Fidel Castro's beard talking. Okay, Castro, not Fidel Castro's beard talking. We are taking nation forward, he's taking nation backward. Redistribution of wealth, communist ideology, left ideology have all failed and made nations bankrupt. Even China and Russia are going in this direction. This man, or the Fidel Castro's beard talking, is about communist ideology, and they themselves don't have, in one place they are their partners, other places they are their rivals in one state. Ideology-less, visionless statement is that nobody can redistribute wealth. And also, to make matters worse, what did they say? The first right, Manmohan Singh in 2006, the first right over national assets should go to Muslims. What did they say? We should equitably distribute the national assets and wealth to the minorities, particularly Muslim minorities. And these are wrong statements, and I don't know, because the ideology-less party can make any statement and get away with it.
All right, Kota Visheshwar Reddy over there in CNN News 18 exclusive, brutally attacking not just the Congress party, but also Asaduddin Owaisi of AIMIM. In fact, it's time for a quick break, but don't go anywhere because we'll be bringing you a glimpse of some delectable Hyderabadi biryani all the way to Charminar. Stay tuned to Election Highway.